السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. Last time we finished ayah number 193 from Surah Al-Baqara, and tonight, inshallah, we are resuming from ayah number 194. The context of this ayat, the situation that this ayat are talking about, is fighting against those who fight the Muslims. And we mean fighting in the battlefield. When there is a war between Muslims and non-Muslims, what are some of the rules that govern this kind of situation? So as Muslims, we need to learn what rules govern our behavior for the sake of war and inside the battlefield, and when we should quit, and so on and so forth. Of course, this set of ayat we're talking about in Surah Al-Baqarah is not the whole topic. So they will be only covering very brief issues related to the topic of fighting. So as we could see from ayah number that we finished last time or before, ayah number 190 and 191 and 193, they set certain rules. So in 90, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, fight back in the path of Allah, which means according to His way, only those who fight you. And that's why when we use the Arabic text which says وَقَاتِلُوا, we should be careful, because وَقَاتِلُوا could be initiating fight. But the context tells us fight back, not just fight. You see the difference now. Don't initiate fight. And we understand this more when we read the rest of the same ayah, ayah 190, which says وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا, do not commit aggression. So now it's clear that Muslims are given a license here to fight back, not to initiate fights. And they are also commanded not to commit aggression and not to exceed the limit, even if you are not the one starting the fight. Even in fighting back, do not do any disproportionate response. Your response has to be measured. Okay? So, ayah number 191, it says, and fight them wherever you find them, and push them out from wherever they drove you out, which means of your homeland. That also is a fighting back. This is not fighting. Unfortunately, your non-Muslim friends may not read for you the whole ayah. They may only pick part of the ayah. And they say Islam is violent and teaches violence because it says kill them wherever you find them. But they don't tell you who are those. But if they read the rest of the ayah immediately, they will discover that they are talking about something different, which is وَأَخْرِجُوهُمْ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَخْرَجُوكُمْ, and kick them out from wherever they kicked you out, which means the aggressor are not the Muslims. The aggressors are others. وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَشَدُّ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ, persecution, to pressure a person to change his faith by force, that's called persecution, is worse than killing. Because they were killing Muslims to turn them away from Islam. And Allah is saying, this is even worse than killing. Because when you force somebody to change his belief under pressure, this is worse than killing him, because you are killing his faith. And this is the source of his life. And then it goes on to say, and do not fight them at the perimeters of Al-Masjid Al-Haram. Near the Masjid Al-Haram, there should be no fight. Until and unless they fight you in Al-Masjid Al-Haram, which is in Mecca. If they fight you in Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the ayah goes on to say, then fight them as they fight you. And if they fight you in Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the ayah says, kill them. But only if they fight you inside Al-Masjid Al-Haram. So all of this, as clear, it is self-defense. Are you following me, or am I talking more or faster than you can catch up? I'm asking you. Yes, you, and you. Am I going faster for you? Am I using language that you don't understand?
No.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. So, and then it says, if they continue to fight you in al-Masjid al-Haram, then fight back and kill them if you have to. Okay? And then it goes on to say, this is the payback for the disbelievers. But this is not the reason for the fight that they are disbelievers. The reason for the fight is because they are fighting you. Because they are committing aggression against you. Okay? So Muslims do not fight others to convert them or because they believe differently. Everybody has the right to believe any way they want. And their account is going to be with Allah. Okay? As far as their belief. But if they fight us, Islam says, push back and fight back. Okay? Why does Islam then call them kafirin? It is because they called Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they called the Muslims who believed with him, they called them disbelievers. They called Prophet Muhammad that Prophet Muhammad left the religion of our forefathers, which means in their language, Saba'a Muhammad means Muhammad and his followers upstated. They left the religion of their forefathers. That's why the answer from Allah is, no, it is you who are kafirin because you rejected Muhammad and he is Allah's prophet, and you rejected the religion of Prophet Ibrahim, which is your original father. So how could you call him kafir when you are the ones who are kafir? So this is the context of why Muslims are told, fight the kafirin, do the not just because of the faith, but because of committing aggression. The ayat are very clear, I hope. And then after this ayah 192, فَإِنِ انْتَهَوْا, if they stop and quit, Allah is oft forgiving, oft merciful. Look at this. If they quit fighting you, and if they accept Islam, right, then Allah can forgive all what they have done, including the killing of Muslims, including all of that. We know that companions like Umar ibn Khattab, companions like what else? Khalid ibn al-Walid, Abu Sufyan. Umar ibn Khattab used to torture one of his own slaves because he became a Muslim, and Umar didn't like it. But before Umar became himself a Muslim, Khalid ibn al-Walid was fighting the Prophet ﷺ up until the 6th year after immigration from Mecca to Medina, until Sulh al-Hudaybiyah. Can you believe this? Abu Sufyan was fighting the Prophet ﷺ until the conquest of Mecca. But after they became Muslims, Allah, as promised, He forgave all of the past. Very important issue to understand. So, if we Muslims are vengeful and bloodthirsty and violent by definition, then those people should not have lived. But that's not the case. They outlived even after the Prophet ﷺ died, which means they were never held to account because of what they have done. Once a person becomes a Muslim, he is forgiven. That's what Allah is saying. Okay? Then the following ayah, 193, which is the ayah which we begin with tonight, it says, and fight them until there is no persecution and until everybody's choice of faith is only for the sake of Allah. If you want to believe, let it be for the sake of Allah. If you want to believe another faith, let it be between you and Allah. This is the point. So Islam calls for religious freedom. We are not here to force or coerce people to become Muslims. We are here to practice Islam, to show the beauty of Islam for our friends and our neighbors and everybody else, and to lead by example, and to show people the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it is not to either convert them by force or by temptation or by deception. No other way but education and sharing your knowledge and the information Allah has given you by example and by preaching, good preaching. So, and fight them until there is no persecution, and that the deen, the religion, is only chosen based on one's own conscience with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what it means to say, وَيَكُونَ الدِّينُ لِلَّهِ. So that people's choice of religion is a matter between them and Allah. Okay? It is not under pressure, it's not because the king wants it, none of that. فَإِنِ انْتَهَوْا, if they stop fighting you, then فَلَا عُدْوَانَ إِلَّا عَلَى الظَّالِمِينَ, let there be no aggression or violence against anyone but those who transgress the limits. Those who commit aggression, then push back against them. Ayah 194, الشهر الحرام بالشهر الحرام. We know that in Islam, from the times of Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail, the deen included 4 months in which a Muslim is supposed not to initiate any fight against anybody. So in those 4 months, when the month starts, even if we were fighting last night, today we're not going to be fighting. It's a new month, it's a holy month. Allah has made it a sacred period, right? So that people do not fight each other. So the ayah goes like this: إِنَّ عِدَّةَ الشُّهُورِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها 4 حرم. The number of months according to Allah's calendar when He created heavens and earth is 12 months a year. Okay? And 4 of them are sacred months, which means months in which people do not commit any aggression against each other. Why is this? And when are those 4 months? It's very important for us to understand. So you will find that 3 of those months are Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, and Al Muharram, which are called Ashhurul Hajj, the months of pilgrimage. Okay? Why are they called Ashhurul Hajj when the Hajj is only 1 week? Because during those months, the months in which Hajj comes in the middle, which is the 10th of the 9th and the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, then those months are the month in which people travel either to Hajj or back from Hajj. So in those days, in those months, Allah prohibited fighting and wars and violence. Why? Allah can designate anything to any quality and to any protection. So He has places in which we cannot fight, like Al-Masjid Haram, as we mentioned, right? Around Al-Masjid Haram. And the Prophet ﷺ said that Mecca and Medina are all prohibited for fighting. So people who come to Mecca, people who come to Medina, they should be safe, right? So those are places that Allah has designated as sacredly protected, which means by Allah, right? They are not allowed for a fighting battlefields for anything under any circumstances, unless somebody fought you in Al-Masjid Al-Haram, then you fight back. That's what the Quran just told us. Okay? So there are places where peace is the norm all year round. And there are times when peace is the norm during those specific times, as we mentioned, Al-Ashhur Al-Hurum. Why were these months, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designated them as prohibited for war and fighting? Because as we said, these are the months of Hajj, right? Why are those designated as peaceful months? Because when we go to Hajj, as you may very well know, all men dress in 2 pieces of white clothes, right? They don't carry guns, they shouldn't. They don't carry swords, they shouldn't, right? So people are going to peacefully worship Allah in His house. How could these be threatened? It doesn't make sense. So Allah gave this protection not only around the haram, but also in your route to the haram and in your route back home from the haram. That's where the months are. Then somebody would say, what about Rajab? Rajab is the 4th month, right? Why is Rajab made among all other months as Shahr Haram? It is because not only Allah wants to protect the Hajji in person, but He wanted to protect the peaceful people who are traveling around for commerce, for trade, for business, for visiting families, for connecting with each other, for exploring places and ideas, right? So Allah designated the month of Rajab. What is Rajab in the sequence of month? So leave Muharram, then after Muharram, what do you have? Safar, right? Then what? Rabi' al-Awwal, Rabi' al-Thani, Jamad al-Awwal, Jamad al-Thani, and then Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan. So Rajab comes as the month number 7. Ramadan comes as the number, Rajab number 7. Ramadan comes as number 9. When is Dhul-Qa'dah? Number 11. In the Arabic month, it's number 11. So Rajab number 7 and Muharram is number 1. So here is Muharram, it's on the side, right? Then after Muharram, 6th month, you have Rajab. 6th month from Muharram, you have Rajab. So Allah wanted a month in the middle of, almost the middle of the year, to give people calm. Even if they were fighting for months, there must be time to break down and to recollect, to look after your farm, to look after your animal, to look after your business, to look after your wounded. So it is very wise divine system to protect the human life and to set a system in which even now with all the UN and all of that stuff, there is no agreement that there is even 1 week in the year that people should never fight. Not even 1 week in the year. Anybody could fight at any time, and arm manufacturers and weapon manufacturers, they are willing to do anything to stop any peace anywhere because they only profit from war. So Islam stands out to be the perfect system for a peaceful human society in the whole earth. So here it says, Ash-Shahr al-Haram bil-Shahr al-Haram, which means if you violate the rules of Ash-Shahr al-Haram, then the oppressed or the attacked one, the one who is wronged, will have the right to fight you back, even if it is Ash-Shahr al-Haram. This is what it means, Ash-Shahr al-Haram bil-Shahr al-Haram. وَالْحُرُمَاتُ قِصَاص, meaning if you violate my honor, my family, and my dignity, and my privacy, and this, I have the right to fight back in the same way. So Ash-Shahr al-Haram protects everything. So if you violate it, then you created a problem and you will bear the consequences, and I have the license to push back against your aggression. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to say, ayah number 194, he who commits aggression against you, then you commit aggression against them in kind. فَاعْتَدُوا عَلَيْهِ بِمِثْلِ مَا اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ. Fight back in the same way. So if somebody throws an egg on my car, do I take a stone and damage all the glasses of his car? I can't do that. Look for an egg and cook it and invite him for breakfast or dinner. But don't make a situation that is bad worse than what it already is. So if you push back, be proportionate, be measured, don't go overboard. So if a country attacks another country because soldiers are standing on the borders, and a soldier killed another soldier on the other side, should they bring all of their power to destroy the smaller nation? That's what we did after 9/11, right? It was very disproportionate, the response we did, and that's why we lost. Because if you do not measure your response, Allah will make you pay the price for your aggression. So we need to be reasonable that even if somebody fights us, we should not go overboard. We should do a measured response. Okay? فَاعْتَدُوا عَلَيْهِ بِمِثْلِ مَا اعْتَدَ عَلَيْكُمْ. And then it goes on to say, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, fear Allah. This is the one we should always observe. We are not doing it because our enemy will do this, or no, we are measuring everything we do by the measures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to be reasonable. We have to be obedient to Allah and to submit and accept His rules and live by His rules. That's what He's saying. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. And be aware that Allah is always going to be with the righteous ones. So even if you are poor, even if you are the underdog, observe your relationship with Allah and observe His rules, and He will look after you. He will take care of you. Then the topic moves to something different. وَأَنْفِقُوا, different but related. وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. And spend in the path of Allah, and do not lead yourself with your own hands to your own demise or destruction. Some people think that fighting back against an enemy attacking my country may lead to my death, and this is what they're saying, don't do it. No. The ayat said clearly, if somebody attacked your country, you have to push back, right? Fight back. Here the ayah is talking about people who do not spend in the path of Allah, or do not stand for the rules of Allah, and do not push back against the aggressor. They are the ones who are going to be destroyed. It's not the other way around. And this explanation comes from Abu Bakr. This is not an opinion that I'm saying. Abu Bakr is the one who explained it this way to his companions. And then the ayah goes on to say, وَأَحْسِنُوا, and do your best. And do what is best. وَأَحْسِنُوا. If you do anything, do your best to get it in the best of ways. So don't do half of your homework and leave the rest. Don't do half-cooked anything and pretend that it is cooked. If you do something, do it well. وَأَحْسِنُوا. Why? إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Allah loves those who do what they do in the best of ways. So if you speak, say your best. If you behave, behave your best. If you sit, sit in your best way. If you dress, dress in your best way. Always do your best in every way. This is what the ayah is saying. Why? Allah loves those who do their best. Okay? Do you want to ask questions? Okay. And then ayah number 196, it says, وَأَتِمُّوا, this is a new topic here, وَأَتِمُّوا الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ. What is atimmu? Atimmu is to take something from its beginning till the end. وَأَتِمُّ means if you start something, finish it to the finish line. So Allah talks about Hajj and Umrah, that when you make Hajj, when you make Umrah, finish it all as soon as you make the intention. وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ. Don't make Hajj so that people would say he's a Hajji. No, make Hajj lillah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for anything else. فَإِنْ أُحْصِرْتُمْ, if you are stopped by an outside factor that is out of your hand, فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ, then if something comes that stops you after you made the intention, you dressed your ihram, you are on your way to Mecca, and then, God forbid, something happened and you are unable to reach or complete your Hajj, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدِي. Whatever you can slaughter of hadi, like a lamb, a goat, whatever you have means to, then this will be your sacrifice. Then you can come and make the Hajj some other time. Okay? For example, somebody went for Hajj, and before he started any rituals or manasik, he fell ill. He went to the hospital and the season went by and he cannot stand on Arafah, he cannot do anything. What does he do? Hadi, which is to sacrifice. And then he needs to come back some other time because the Hajj has a season. It's not any time or any place. It's in a certain place at a certain time. Okay?
هل ربنا يتقبل منه الحالة دي لما
Yeah, the question is, would Allah accept from him that he made niyyah, but he could not make it? Yes, but he still owes the Hajj.
يعني ربنا يتقبل منه
ربنا يتقبل منه نيته, but he didn't do the Hajj.
هو ما عملش الحج بس النية بتاعته النية كانت
أنا قلت ربنا هيتقبل نيته, لكن هيتقبل حج هو ما عملوش ازاي. Let us say I came to pray Jum'ah. It was very crowded and the police stopped me outside, right? And after 1 hour he gave me a ticket. Jum'ah prayer is gone. Did I pray Jum'ah? What should I do? I should pray Zuhr, right? So he needs to make up the Hajj that he missed, but Allah will accept his sacrifice because he did not abscond from his commitment. He did not renege on his commitment. الحج ليس على الفقير الذي لا يستطيع. ليس عليه حج.
لا لو هو في نيته انه عايز يحج هل ربنا يتقبل النية بتاعته ويكون حاجي؟
يكتب له حج من غير حج؟ ده اللي انت عايزه؟
يعني النية بتاعته يعني بس مش في استطاعته مش معاه.
هذا يعلمه الله سبحانه وتعالى. الذي نعلمه أن الثواب على قدر المشقة. And the reward he gets for a specific worship can only happen after he has done it, not just because of the intention. The intention is one thing, and then the action is another, and it has to be together. Okay? As I mentioned just now, if the person is poor, the person doesn't have to make Hajj. Al-Hajj liman istata'a ilayhi sabila. It is for those who can do it. So if you cannot do it, make all the intentions in the world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your intentions and reward you for always wanting to make Hajj, right? But that's different from wanting the ajr for Hajj that you don't do. So if you are stopped from your way to Hajj after making the intention and putting on your ihram, and something unforeseen happened, I gave the example of sickness, an accident, something uncontrollable out of your hand, then you need to make a sacrifice. فَإِنْ أُحْصِرْتُمْ فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدِيِ. After you do the sacrifice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and do not shave your hair until the sacrifice is done. So after you go through the manasik, you stood at Arafah, you spent the night in Muzdalifah, in the valley of Muzdalifah, and you threw Jamrat al-Aqaba, which is the first of the pebbles that you threw at the devil, symbolically, in Mina. Then what you need to do is sacrifice, and after the sacrifice, then you shave your hair and you take off your ihram. Or for the sisters, you cut limited part of your hair, not with your own hand. Somebody has to do it for you. Both men and women. You cannot shave your own hair if you are still in ihram. And you cannot take off your ihram until you shave your hair. You see, which means somebody has to shave your hair. So they have barbers, both in Mina and around the haram, so that you can go and get somebody to shave your hair or get it shorter as you wish. So Allah says, do not shave your hair until the sacrifice is done. Okay? And then it goes on to say, if one of you is sick or has something that would harm him if he shaves his hair, like he has a wound or something in his head, then he has to make an expiation or fidya min siyamin aw sadaqatin aw nusuk, either fasting or a charity of any kind, right? Or nusuk means hajj. Okay? فَإِذَا أَمِنْتُمْ, if you are safe and good, he who continues from Umrah all the way through to Hajj, but they break in between with what is called tamattu'. فَمَنْ تَمَتَّعَ بِالْعُمْرَةِ إِلَى الْحَجِّ فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ. Then this person has to make hajj, whether he is sick or he is not sick, whether he has done violation or not, he has to make the hajj of tamattu'. Okay? What is tamattu'? Tamattu' is, when I enter Mecca, I have the chance to either make hajj alone, or hajj and umrah in one ihram, or hajj and umrah in one ihram, or umrah in one ihram, and then I break out of the state of ihram, and then I put on ihram for hajj. You see, hajj starts by me going to Mina on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. Okay? This is hajj. Before that, if I arrive to Mecca, let us say the 1st of Dhul Hijjah, or any time before, or any time before the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, and I want to make umrah and then hajj, but I don't want to stay in ihram in between. What is this called? It's called tamattu', which means to enjoy the freedom out of the state of ihram, because the state of ihram is full of restrictions. You can't shave your hair, you cannot cut your hair, you cannot clip your nail, you cannot do a lot of things, right? So those restrictions are limited to the ihram state, when I am in ihram. So if I break out of ihram between umrah and hajj, that is called tamattu'. I'm enjoying myself, right? This is why it's called tamattu'. If you do tamattu' between umrah and hajj, you owe a sacrifice. There is no question about it. Okay? Is this clear? Anybody has a question? Okay. فمن تمتع بالعمرة إلى الحج فما استيسر من الهدي. فمن لم يجد, he who cannot find a sacrifice, فصيام 3 أيام في الحج و7 إذا رجعتم. If you owe a sacrifice, but you cannot afford a sacrifice, then you have to fast 3 days during the Hajj and 7 other days after you go back home. تلك 10 كاملة. Those are complete together, added up 10 days. ذلك لمن لم يكن أهله حاضر المسجد الحرام. This is the rule if you do not have your wife or family with you in the Hajj. Because if you're traveling with your family, especially, if you have the whole family, it's very expensive. If you have your wife, it's more expensive than going by yourself. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, if you have your wife, then you don't owe all of this. Okay? ذلك لمن لم يكن أهله حاضري المسجد الحرام, which means they have not joined him in the Hajj. Okay? واتقوا الله, and fear Allah. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ, and be aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very severe in punishment. Then ayah number 197, Al-Hajj Ashhurun Ma'lumat. Hajj comes in a season of 3 months that we mentioned before, right? فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ, he who made the intention to make the Hajj during that season, then he has to comply with 3 things. فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. What is rafath? Rafath is sexual activity or anything that leads to that. Okay, that's rafath. Fusuq means there is no disobedience whatsoever. You cannot disobey Allah in His house or next to His house. Go back home and do whatever you want. But you don't come and visit Allah in His house and disobey Allah there. It doesn't make sense, right? The third is wala jidal. If you're visiting Allah in His house or in His place, which is Mecca as a whole, ماشي, that He has made sacred. قُلْ إِنِّي أُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَعْبُدَ رَبَّ هَذِهِ الْبَلْدَةَ الَّذِي حَرَّمَهَا. I have been commanded to worship the one who has made this town sacredly protected. It is His town. So you don't go to Allah in His town and then argue with His guests. وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Do not argue. Why is argumentation prohibited during Hajj? Number one, because people will be coming from all corners of the earth with different cultures, different levels of knowledge, and different type of knowledge. So it is very difficult to take your madhab or your idea and try to enforce it on everybody else. So keep to yourself so that you do not get into argumentation. Because when people argue, they get closer to fighting. Right? So Allah wants us to stop it from the beginning. Do not argue, because argumentation would lead into disputes. Disputes could lead into fighting and clashes, and this is not the place for it or the time for it. So focus on your ibadah and focus on your own mistakes. Listen to people, but don't engage in argumentation. Withdraw from any argument. Okay? So if anyone makes intention during those months for Hajj, let him not engage in any sexual activity or anything that leads to it. Let him not commit any disobedience to Allah. Let him never engage in argumentation with anybody. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ. And whatever you do, if anything good, Allah knows it. Which means what? Don't brag about what you did. Don't market yourself. Don't market your deeds. People are not going to reward you or punish you. Allah knows what you're doing. So let your marketing be between you and Allah. Okay? وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. Take as much of piety and righteousness and patience and goodness and good manners with you as you can, because this is the best of provisions. فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. Why does Allah encourage us to do this? Specifically because of Hajj or the season. It's because in Hajj you will meet people who are doing a lot of things that you're not used to. If you don't pack your patience, you will flip. You will get in argumentations and fight. And I've seen it. And you must have heard stories of people who lose their Hajj just because of argumentation or fights. Why is the bus late? And they fight. Why is the food not enough? And they fight. Why is the AC not working? And they fight. As if the shaitan is making hajj with them. So Allah says, take the best of provision, and the best of provision is your righteousness, which includes patience, tolerance, acceptance, compassion, appreciation, mercy, forgiveness, all of this. And then it says, وَاتَّقُونِ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, and fear me, those of you who have reflective hearts and pondering hearts. Then ayah number 197, I will have to run to make wudu. Late 8:10, so I have to go now. So we'll stop with finishing ayah number 197, and we'll, inshallah, next time we will start off with ayah 198, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.